What's up, everyone? It's Chicks in the Office with Rhea and Fran, giving you that Friday energy on a Wednesday evening. We're a little delayed today because of some Love Island interviews, but we're very excited to have Gracyn on this episode. Rhea is remote. We just screamed at each other on Zoom for approximately 35 minutes, but she's here, and it got to the point where I was the one who said, it wasn't even me, actually. I just did the intro because that's where we are at right now as a threesome.
And to be fair, it wasn't Fran and I screaming at each other. It was, this is the deal. I woke up at 3 a.m. today with the worst fucking migraine I have ever felt in my entire life. Like, I've had migraines before, never to this degree. Towards the end of my period, I walked around a lot outside, and it was 95 degrees yesterday, and maybe I didn't drink enough water. Like, the combination of the two maybe just gave me the worst migraine of my life. So I've been up on and off since 3 o'clock in the morning with the worst migraine I have ever felt. So I was like, guys, I'm trying, but I think I got to record from home because, my goodness gracious, when I step on my feet, oh, holy fuck, it's like impossible. So they're like, yeah, no problem, record from home. I'm like, guys, I got a new setup going. This shit's going to rock. Like, I'm going to record from home. I got a new microphone. Like, everything's going to be great. None of it is great. All of it is bad. Like, it is impossible to figure out. We have been trying for 35 minutes. Every time I was right now I'm on my phone. I was connected to this desktop, the 3 fucking desktops again, with the new microphone and the ring light and the whole shebang. And every time I did the intro, it sounded like I was swimming 50 feet away. Like, I don't know what was going on. And me and Fran are like, no, does it sound better? And he's just dead silent. He's dead silent. I'm like, give me an answer. Give me an answer. I'm trying to make this better. But logistically, like, these fucking microphones, by the way, I'm holding it up, not that anybody cares, but these microphones that work gives are fucking trash. They do not work. And we need a new microphone to be sent home because this one doesn't work. It's garbage. It's garbage.
It is. It actually is really a terrible mic to hook up to your computer. We got to get the control room. Like, you and Marty both, you should get one of those ones that hangs like these, but it's right. But attaches to the table. You know,
but
like,
he said
even like a handheld mic that plugs into the laptop, you know?
I know. I'd do anything at this point just for me to get on and get approval from Noah about how I sound. When I get on and it's like, no, it doesn't sound good. Ooh, it like, wow, the blood pressure just builds up because I'm like, I'm trying my hardest. I thought we were going to knock this out of the park, but yet, no. And then I couldn't get to the office in time. And by the way, when I step on my feet, it feels like the blood is all rushing to my head and it's like the most excruciating pain. So we're trying to work through that. And I just have the worst fucking migraine ever and it sucks. But I'm going to be a trooper and we're going to move along and things would be better if this microphone just worked. Like, the mood would be uplifted. Everything would be great. I was feeling so good. I logged on. I was like, no, let's test this shit out. It's going to be fantastic. No, not fantastic.
Do you want to test it one more time? The mic.
He's
deep breaths.
He's pulling your leg.
Deep
or
breaths.
Am I?
I know what he's doing. And we just spent 45 minutes doing this. So I'm not quite sure I have the patience for it.
It got to the point.
What if we did a live testing? Plug it in right now and switch.
No,
and then we'll
have to hear that because it sounds so
bad. People can know like the difference, and then
it got to the point,
and then they can decide.
Maybe it just needed a break. The mic.
The mic just needed.
Yeah.
The mic just needed a timeout.
It needed a nap, like I do. No, it got to the point where I was like, guys, just do the show without me. Like, have a fill-in. Do it without me. My head is fucking killing me. Like, go without me. But Fran was like, Rhea, I insist you do this episode. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I really just wanted to talk to you. I don't want to.
I appreciate it.
I don't want to talk to anybody else. And honestly, I'm still giggling at you. You hit a point where you said you said to Noah, God bless your wife because you don't listen. And no,
it wasn't that he doesn't listen. He doesn't give an answer of how he's feeling.
Right.
Like, that's what it was like. Noah,
I was, though.
No, Fran.
No, you weren't.
I said it's fine because I'm not going to lie to you and say, wow, this is the most crisp audio I've ever heard.
No, Fran, he was not even answering. Like, he was just sitting there with a blank stare.
Because I'm listening in my head. I'm trying to be like, how does it sound?
But it was like, I literally was like, God bless your wife one day when she asks you what's wrong and you just stare at her and you don't tell her what the problem is. Because my goodness gracious, me sitting there and I just blank stare from Noah, like, I'm like, what is it? What can I do to fix it? Tell me what my problem is. I felt like Huda and Chris during Love Island last night, where Huda's like, what am I doing? Oh, but we're here. We're here. On a side note, I made a delicious dinner last night. Honestly, something I've never made before. I mean, if you're interested, but just a lighter.
Such a hilarious 180.
It's just a lighter note.
Yeah.
Because who wants to even hear us complain about this anymore?
Talk me through your dinner.
It was gorgeous. I made some shrimp tacos with a homemade crema and a Mexican street corn as a side. And my goodness gracious, it was divine. It was delicious. Whipping up your own homemade crema. God, do you feel good? Do you feel dandy when you do it, Real tasty.
What goes into that?
I made mine with sour cream, olive oil, cilantro, jalapeno, and a little bit of seasonings. What else did I do? I was throwing a bunch of shit in there. And it tasted gorgeous, though. It was really nice.
You whisked
it? No,
I
blended it.
Blended it
with a blender.
Nice.
So it would be like real creamy, like really dripping. And it was delicious with some shrimp, which was seasoned to perfection by myself, I must say. And I made a little slaw with the crema mixed in, little chopped up red cabbage, chopped up green cabbage, a little bit of shredded broccoli in there.
You need a little bit of a crunch with the shrimp taco, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did a little bit of a little homemade slaw in there with the crema, and then the Mexican street corn was just amazing as well. Like, really easy to make, honestly.
I love Mexican street corn. It's so fucking good.
Oh,
a little elote.
Yeah. I was gonna say elote, but I didn't want to sound like I was trying too hard.
That's all right. I did it for you.
Thank you. Exactly. But it was divine, I must say. If people want the recipe, hit me up, because I just whipped that shit together last night. I wanted to try making something new. And when you're cooking up, like Marty was streaming, and I was like, you know what? I was trying to take a nap, but I couldn't do it. I said, I'm going to whip up something. I'm going to get in the kitchen and just throw some seasoning together, throw some shit together, see what I come up with. Boom, homemade shrimp tacos, a little crema, a little Mexican street corn, bada bing, bada boom. It was amazing. So
you had all those items in your fridge already?
I had like the vegetables and the seasoning, and Matt picked up shrimp the night before because we made salmon the night before, and he got shrimp as well, just in case. And so I had the shrimp in there, and I just needed the tortillas.
Yeah.
And we were good to go.
Yeah, that's my problem is I just never, I just don't grocery shop enough. It's my biggest downfall. It's like, oh, I would love to go and make something, but then I open my fridge and it's empty, and I go, oh, well, I guess I'll just order something.
That's what it is, though. I notice we cook a lot more when we have things in the fridge.
Yeah,
like when we got home from vacation, we picked up some things because we'd been gone. And then you're just like, oh, wait, I have this all here. I could make something. You look in your fridge, you see what you have, you go, ooh, what can I make out of this? And then boom, you have it. But when there's nothing in there, you're like, we could just order in.
Yeah. Yep. Story of my life.
Yeah, I made salmon the night before. Like I would usually, when I made salmon, chop it up into little bites, but I kept it full this time and did sort of like a honey Dijon glaze with some teriyaki green beans on the side and a sweet potato, which was really delightful as well. I like to get back when you're away, and then you get back into the swing of things of like cooking and making meals, especially summer meals. I feel like are really easy to be like healthy, but also delicious, because you want something light and refreshing, but also tastes good. So I just wanted to throw something positive in there for the, hasty little intro we had.
Yes. can just feel the tension in the air. I was opening some packages that accumulated from when I was away, and one of them was the order. I did not realize that this had happened while I was away. I saw an email, but I didn't fully check, and I was like, oh, whatever it is. And I just wasn't paying attention, so I didn't see. But the last Meghan Markle drop, I ordered multiple items, because the raspberry jam she didn't bring back. She brought back she made an apricot jam, a little apricot, and I guess she had the same exact problems she had last time. I thought I purchased that apricot jam, and I also got two teas. I got the hibiscus tea and the lemon ginger tea. And I also got the shortbread cookie mix with the flour sprinkles included. And when I opened the box, those 3 items were there. And the jam, sadly, was not. And when I went digging, I realized I was actually refunded last week for that jam, because despite me putting it in my cart and ordering it, it was sold. It must have been sold out already. So it said that I had ordered it, but they didn't have enough. And so I didn't actually get the jam. And my God, what's a girl got to do to get her hands on some jam? It's out of this world.
Wait, I also ordered the jam, but I haven't checked my packages. Should I check my email?
You should check your email because
I'm going to check while we're on.
Check your email because you may have
I'm recording on my phone so you can see me
visually
checking my email.
Terrifying.
Visually, this is hilarious.
Did you say terrifying?
Yeah.
Noah.
You're like
Noah.
head tilted, staring into the camera.
You have to check if you have an email from As Ever, because I did, and it told me I was refunded.
Oh, I have no email. I only have a welcome to As Ever.
Oh.
But I don't have like anything about a delivery, nothing about a confirmed order, nothing shipped. But I have to check my packages. So I will let you know. Yeah. I can now see what you meant by terrifying. When I clicked out and I was still like this. I got
interesting. So I wonder if you'll end up getting it or not, because this was the email that I had gotten that said, due to high demand, we are unable to fulfill your order of the apricot spread at this time. Do you say apricot or apricot?
Apricot.
We are refunding your purchase of this item by the end of the week. In addition to the refund, we want you to know that when the apricot spread is back in stock, you will be the first to receive it free of charge. Yeah, I better. I better have
packages now.
When is it coming back in stock is the question, because I will also want the raspberry.
Let me tell you, I'm going to be so jumping up for joy if I have the apricot spread in my boxes. I'm going to be so pumped.
I'm going to need you to look immediately after this.
I will. Well, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna wait till Matt comes home and have him get the packages, because my goodness gracious, my head might explode if I have to carry any packages today. I will say though, when I was in France, I was
gonna say, okay, Huda.
Okay, please.
Can you pick up my mat? Can you please put my mat away?
Oh shit! Oh my god, that's funny. What was I going to say? Seriously,
you were in France.
When
it was something about jam, I think.
It was it's absolutely about jam. I'm sorry, this migraine is really, really bad. Moving on. In France, I went to this little shop that had like all these homemade jams and honeys. I picked up this lavender honey, which is absolutely delicious. And I also picked up this fig jam, which was the smoothest, like creamiest, like the way it flowed out. You know, fig jam sometimes a little like hard, not hard, but it doesn't like drip necessarily.
Yeah.
This fig jam, it dropped when it dripped. You know, it did what it did what it had to
dropped.
Do. And the problem is, I only bought one jar, and I bought one jar of it, and I thought, perfect, I'm going to put it in my suitcase. It'll come home with me. Next day at the pool, we're sitting around. my in-laws went to go grab some baguettes and cheese and meats at a local store. They come back to the pool with all the meats, cheeses, and baguettes. And I said, you guys get any jam? And they said, no, they didn't have jam at the store. I said, oh my God, now we're going to have to use the jam I bought. We're going to have to use it. We can't have all this with no jam. So I used up the jam. We ate the entire jar. And so now I don't have that jam with me. And that's very upsetting to me because I couldn't go get another jar because it was an hour away. So I wasn't going to go back to Cannes to get another jar of the jam. But it was the best jam I've ever had in my life. I've never seen a jam drip the way this thing did. Just silky, smooth, tastes delicious. Meghan would be shaking in her boots if she saw this jam. She would be. So I'll have to see if that apricot came my way.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's almost better to have enjoyed it in that way, you know?
Right. I was like, would I rather enjoy this here?
It lived to
or would I rather
exactly at home? Yeah, it's like it's lived to its fullest potential, oceanside in the south of France. You know,
for sure. We're going to visit some friends this weekend, and I picked up. Oh, I hope they're not listening to this. Well, anyways, whatever, it'll be spoiled. I picked them up fresh truffle, it's soaking, also truffle honey.
Ooh.
It's like actual truffle pieces and then separately truffle honey in this jar, and I can't wait for them to try it. Specifically, I'm hoping what will happen is we'll show up with the presents, and Thursday night we'll show up with the presents, and then Friday night they'll say, oh guys, let's not go anywhere, we'll make a home cooked meal with this truffle you brought us. You know, that's the goal.
They'll say, my God, don't let this truffle go to waste.
My God, we can't not try this truffle together.
We gotta try this truffle right now. It is funny though. You really, in my brain, you have such a monopoly over any type of jam. Our last dinner in Sardinia was so funny for many reasons. One, we went to a local place and the speaker was right above Joe's face and they just played country music the entire time. We were just listening to Luke Bryan on repeat while we were having our last meal, which was so funny. But we ordered this local meat and cheese plate, and with it they have I'll probably butcher the details of this because I didn't learn too much about it, but they have this local berry that's called myrto, Mirto. And it kind of looks like a blueberry, but it has a very strong, the plant had a really strong smell. And what are you laughing at?
She's look.
Wait, what the hell? Why is a video of Dana playing?
I was going to say, what's happening?
She was looking around the room.
Because a video of Dana sitting at this desk that I'm at, chugging a beer, is playing on the computer because this is, now I'm going through the explanation again, but Matt and Dana do their gambling stream from here, and all of this is under Dana's name and login. So when I do it from this computer, which I'm not on right now, it shows up as Dana B. And all of it out of nowhere, a video of Dana chugging a beer is popped up. I'm going to have to show what I'm looking at for this to make any sense. I'm sorry. This is so chaotic.
Oh.
What? Jump scare.
And it's an old video.
It is. What is going on? I'm going to have to X out of that. I'm sorry. There he is. No, the reason I was clicking on the computer in the first place is because I wanted to get a visual of the myrto berry.
Yes. Very fair, and I appreciate you wanting to know what it looks like. But long story short, the plate was served with a myrto jam that had such a beautiful, unique flavor, something that I've never really tasted before. That I was I had took one bite of it. I looked at Joe. I said, "God, Rhea would love this."
Wow, I'm so happy you thought of me in that moment.
Yeah, immediately. And
wait, this is so interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I'm looking at pictures of it.
And I feel
like a real streamer right now. You know, I got I could like Google things. You can Google things
while you're talking.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, the only other one was the other time too was when we were at the club and we were dancing. Joe looked at me and goes, "You know who'd love this?" I said, "Who?" He goes, "Your co-host."
You know what? If I could be known for two things, and that's jam and dancing, then I lived a fulfilled full life.
Jam and a good
even a word.
That was
what'd you say?
Quote.
Yeah.
A fulfilled full life.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, everyone.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of gratitude. No,
jam and a great club.
Yeah, if this migraine takes me out, and you and Joe show up, and you go, she loved the good jam, and she loved the good a nightclub that had some dancing.
Yep,
good enough for me.
Yep.
Wow, this does look really good, though. Ooh, gosh, that's delicious.
Yeah, it was a good local plate. Also, Olive I'm sitting in your chair right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't see, but Olive just jumped into my chair, and she's just snoozing in my chair now.
She probably smells you.
She's enjoying her day today.
Nice day?
Yeah.
What'd you do with her?
Yes, we've just been doing some activities, lots of playtime at home.
Aww.
Some good walks when it's not been too hot. She got a little bald spot. I think it's from her collar. So I have to try. I have to get her a new collar. She's very sensitive skin on her neck. I think it rubbed her and gave her a little bald spot. So I'm keeping it off of her, and the vet gave me like a little cream for her. But other than that, she's just fantastic.
She looks fantastic, especially in that chair.
Yeah.
Filling good shoes there.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's get into the rest of the episode. We are, by the way, Gracyn is on this, and I know people are probably wondering, what about Taylor and Clark? We are interviewing Taylor and Clark tomorrow, as well as TJ, and they will all be included on our episode that we release probably Thursday night going into Friday. We're going to try to get that out early for everybody, but I know, with this episode having Gracyn on, people are going to be like, well, are you interviewing the other ones? We are, and that will be tomorrow. So we're very excited to do that, very excited to talk about the Islanders that were dumped, and very excited to talk about a little recap, and we have the pop corner as well. So we'll get into all of that. And for those who don't listen to Love Island, that have stuck with us on this journey, thank you very much. And Love Island will be ending next week.
Yeah.
So you guys will have the regularly scheduled programming back. But also, I don't even know at this point who's not watching, because it seems like the entire world is. But there are some people that are not watching.
Definitely, and I will be happy for those people, but I will also be very sad for us, because my God, has it been the only content to really discuss, because the summer is a slow time when it comes to celebrity news. I don't know how much you could talk about Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom on a yacht, like it's just, that's just how the summer goes.
In an Instagram post?
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
They're co-parenting.
It's a lot of celebrities on yachts and things of that nature. Yep. Bachelor in Paradise just started back up.
It did.
And I think that might have to fill the slot of people who will be missing Love Island.
Yeah.
The editing is new. The producing is new. It's very different. They're trying to switch it up. I think people judged too quickly when they saw the cuts of it on TikTok or Instagram, where it was just like the quick cuts of how they did the intros and how they're doing like these dream sequences and things like that. I think people quick to judge it. I'm willing to give it a shot, though. I think ABC's trying to, freshen it up. And I think it'll take a little bit for them to find what that new thing is. Like they may be trying too hard to be Netflix or Peacock or whatever that may be. But I think we have to give them time to adjust of what this new will look like for them.
I agree. I was very skeptical. When I saw all the first teasers and trailers and everything, I was like, oh God. And it's just, and right away it just feels different because they upgraded all the cameras. So it just looks like a much higher quality production than previous seasons. It's in a totally new place. But so far, are there very cheesy moments? Of course. But I kind of think that's what keeps it still Bachelor in Paradise and not too serious. So I kind of like that. And then there's going to be some twists and turns, it seems. I think money is going to play a factor at some point, which could be a good way to change it up a little bit, see how the people feel, if, love or money, that whole conversation. So, you never know. What if this season ended like that of Love Island? It could.
I pray somebody just takes the money and runs, just because it would be interesting. So let's just get right into the Love Island recap, because that's what we want to talk about right now. Sunday night, we had a voting for which couple would go home next, and then that would leave 5 couples, and after that, one more couple will go home, and that will leave the final 4 couples. We could sort of leave off from where it ended and then just kind of work our way backwards from other things that happened. But most recently, Taylor and Clark were sent home by the public voting, which had me really sad for them, honestly, because I think Taylor and Clark actually do have a genuine connection. And Taylor was so excited to make things exclusive, which was really funny, because when Taylor was like, I want to close off, it's like, of course you're fucking closing off. It's the last week. There's no one else around. You can't even have any other options. There's no one else around. But, it was the sentiment that counts.
The choice of words is why it was funny, because it was like him being so excited, like, I'm ready to close things off. It's like, yeah, it's over. The show's over. So
I hope you're closing off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if he had just said, I want to ask Clark to be exclusive, like, that would have made a lot more sense. But same sentiment.
I think maybe he just meant in real life he wants to be exclusive and close off, which I would have loved to hear that conversation. But it was really cute. He was really excited, all the guys that performed this routine, to like ask her to be exclusive. And they really do like each other. And it didn't work out with Alandria. And should he have been a little bit more honest with Alandria? Absolutely. Like, if he was more honest about how he was feeling with her, things would have gone differently. But I just find it sort of sad that the public has this perception of them or doesn't like them for whatever reason, when they actually do have a genuine connection. And out of everybody there, I think besides Ace and Shelly at this point, who have been together from the beginning, probably had the realest connection that we are seeing. Was sad to watch them go. But at the same time, if I were them, I'd be like, you know what? Fuck it. At least we get to leave together, and they can go be in their hotel rooms together, and they can they don't have to deal with any villa shit anymore. They could just go be together. But you forget that there is an end point of winning and winning money. But they'll hop off. They get one brand deal that costs $50,000 each, and they'll be fine. So whatever. It's just the point of the voting. And I saw Gabby Windy post about this on TikTok, and we've talked about it the other day. You said it's like, if you find a connection, you get executed off the island. It's like there's no Love Island. It's, if you find love, see you later, buddy. You better count your lucky stars to stay on that island. Because my God, if you find a connection with this cast, you're out of there.
And you're also obviously have a chance to be voted off. It is unfortunate, because I think that Taylor just lost a lot of the votes just for the way things went down with Alandria. And I think people didn't fully buy his feelings for Alandria. And I think maybe they thought he just wasn't being super honest through that whole thing. And it led to this, which sucks. And somebody had to go home. And if you looked the other night, through the mix, you're like, okay, all these couples seem to have a connection. We're in a good place here. When that vote happened on, what was that, Sunday? So it makes sense that this kind of happened this way. It is tough to watch it happen this way, because when you're watching and you see Huda and Chris fighting, you're like, oh, they would have made a lot more sense to go home. But of course, we didn't have that information at the time when everybody was voting as well. But then you watch those two interact, and you're like, oh man, it's not going to work. Just when you think things are moving in the right direction for Huda, things are getting better, it's in a good relationship, it's just running into a brick wall at all time. It just screeches to a halt, where I think Chris has tried to open that communication with her, and there's been certain times where I felt like, oh, they're having at least they're asking each other. Chris is like, oh, I could tell before that you seem to be getting mad at me. What was that about? Or let's talk about it, whatever. But it just seems like they're not quite on the same page. I don't necessarily blame Huda that as much for the PDA stuff. I think she's just a lot more reserved when it comes to doing things maybe outwardly on camera in front of the other Islanders and having all their scrutiny, because everything she did with Jeremiah was like analyzed so much, and all the other Islanders had something to say about it. So I could see her being like, oh, I don't want to be like that in front of them. And then they all have an opinion. They all have something to say, whatever. But at the same time, I can kind of understand Chris being, like he said, sort of like feeling, oh, are you embarrassed of me? Like, you in private, we're fine, but in public, as much as you can be in public in front of 6 other people. But, you know, like, you don't want to be like that with me then. So I don't know, but that is crashing and burning big time.
Yeah, I think with the Chris and Huda situation, it feels like Chris was sort of saying, like, you're comfortable with having sex in a room full of the other Islanders, but not sort of just like giving me a peck or whatever. And I feel like he was just like wanting more of a relationship feel rather than just a hookup feel, which was interesting. But then on Huda's side, she's used to everyone, or in the past, getting mad about Jeremiah, so I could see where she's coming from with that as well. I think with Huda, like, I feel like she just has some things to work through. Like, she's probably been through a lot. I feel like she's insecure. I feel like there's things that she needs to work through before settling down into like a serious relationship. And I think we're noticing that with the patterns that have been happening on this show. So it's just been interesting to unfold and to watch unfold, because it feels like Chris is sort of losing his patience a bit. But Huda also wants to know where she's coming from and what she's doing wrong and how she could fix it. But she needs to be open to hearing that. And Chris has to be open to hearing too. They just have to be open to hearing each other out. And Maya kind of said that. She was like, I get, like, you're so validated in what you're feeling. But she obviously is feeling a lot of emotions.
Like, let her calm down.
Just going through a lot. It was the baby challenge that they decided to bring back this year. They didn't do it last year. They brought it back this year. And Huda, actually being a mommy, as we know, went to full mom mode. And Chris was like, this isn't this is an experiment. Like, this isn't a real baby. Like, this isn't the real thing. But I think for Huda, it is the real thing, because when she dates somebody, she's dating and looking at them as not just a boyfriend or a husband or whatever. And everybody hopes to see, you know, potential in somebody being a father. But like, it's actually real for her that she legitimately has a child, that like, this guy would be stepping into her life as potentially acting as sort of like a father figure if they were to get to that point and become serious. So she took it very, very, very seriously. And, but I didn't like how Chris told her to shut up. Like, that to me, speaking like that is never okay. And also, you also just met, like, not just met, but like, it's never okay. But also, it came out so easily for him. Like, he was just like, shut up. And I was like, whoa, that flew out real easily.
Yeah.
And I could see why Huda wouldn't like that, to be like told to shut up. But then her like crashing out about the baby stuff when it's not a real baby, it's like, okay, well, you know, we gotta take it easy.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, meanwhile, they're fighting about the baby. It's all real stuff. Like, she's like, hold his head. Like, it's like, okay. Like, it's like, she's right. She's absolutely right. And it obviously is funnier when they do take that challenge as so seriously, and they, you know, put a lot of care into those small babies, and it's funny and it's entertaining, and you see everybody have fun with it and laugh about it. And then we got to see Amaya and Brian go into the hideaway. They're not wasting any time, those two. And you know what? Good for you, Amaya. Like she was saying, she was like, I've been missing the smooches. I haven't gotten any, and I want them all. And I want them all. She's making up for lost time because she hasn't been getting those smooches, but she's getting them now. They made a whole freaking song about eat that kitty in the hideaway. I said, I can't believe they're saying this on TV. It was one thing when like when the girls said it in the dressing room, and I was like, oh, haha, okay. But then it was a song that they repeated multiple times over and over and over again. I was like, okay, all right, we're singing it. The new anthem. TikTok has already remixed the Mommy Mamacita into a song. Eat that kitty in the hideaway coming next.
I woke up singing, eat that kitty, eat that kitty, eat that kitty in the hideaway. I couldn't believe it.
You and Nick.
Nick just going about like, eat that kitty, eat that kitty. I will say though, something with Amaya and Brian, it seems as though Brian just kisses Amaya every time she talks. Like instead of them actually talking, he just starts kissing her.
Yeah.
Which maybe he's really feeling that sexual connection, but also at the same time, I'm like, you got to let her talk a little bit too. Like, but they had a good time.
Yeah.
They both were very, very happy after.
You know what it kind of reminds me of a little bit? You know when, was it season 5 of Love Island UK? Was it, which one was it when Amber won with the guy like all the way at the end?
5.
Yeah.
5.
That's like kind of what this reminds me of a little bit. It's like fan favorite, so loved, and then like a guy comes in like really towards the end, they hit it off, and you kind of hope for the best, but at the same time, it's like, Amber and that guy broke up like 3 weeks after the show ended,
Greg, right?
Greg, yes, Greg.
Yeah,
yes.
Everyone was rooting for them, and then it kind of ended. It ended quickly.
Yeah,
I am happy for.
And then afterwards, they were like, "Yeah, I mean, we knew each other for 10 days. Like, we like to."
Yeah.
It's like, but
I'm happy for them getting action and whatnot.
No, for sure.
Here's the thing: when it comes down to it, like Ace and Shelley, if we're looking at the Love Island model, they should technically be the winners,
right?
Because they've been together since the beginning, but they explored other connections. I think it's just Ace's actions.
Well, yeah, because it all seems like all part of Ace's master plan.
Right. And I think that's where the problem may come into play with like, people can't let that part of it go, of Ace just like being the villa mayor and kind of dictating what happens in that place and all of that. But if we're looking at just like the Love Island formula, Ace and Shelley are the winners. And they seem to be like very in on each other now. I was confused why Brian and Amaya got chosen for the hideaway and not Ace and Shelley. Like when they chose Amaya and Brian, maybe it's because they were going at it the night before and people were hearing them and like happy for them to get some action. And maybe because the way Amaya has been treated this season, they were like, let her have it.
Yeah, I think it was for Amaya.
In terms of couplings, I was shocked that it wasn't going to be Ace and Shelley because they had been.
But you don't think it's because like they're like, oh, America loves Amaya, like so let's be nice to Amaya.
No.
I mean,
I'm not in that sense for the hideaway. I think that they probably were just like Amaya. I don't think Amaya's gotten a lot of time in a couple the whole season. So they were like, let's give her this private time. She has, like she hasn't gotten this at all.
Yeah, I
don't think it was like, oh, America's gonna want this.
I don't know. Because Ace and Shelley were on the bottom of like most of those things. So it's like, why wouldn't they choose them then? Like outside of that, like.
I think there's a different thing. I think there's a different vibe also within the couples where they know like who's going to be more comfortable like going into the hideaway. Like it's a very televised moment of like intimacy going into the hideaway. Mm-hmm. And I think some couples are probably more open to it than others. And like I feel like Ace and Shelley are obviously together, but we're not seeing as much like under the covers holy shit with Ace and Shelley as we are everybody else. So I just feel like it makes sense maybe that they were like, Amaya and Brian are feeling real horny. Let's give it to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They've kept it pretty PG. I just was shocked because they were having that s'mores date when it was happening. And I thought that maybe they would have pointed to them because they were on their little s'mores date. And they should.
I bet if they fought for it, like maybe they would have. Right. But it sounded like they didn't even care.
Yeah. I just, I could see at this point just a way that America's voting. I feel like Amaya and Brian like may win it all, or even Ace and Shelley. I don't know. I'm very confused. When it comes to Iris and Pepe, I all of a sudden they're like kissing up on each other. They have this connection, and I feel like we need to see more of like the aftermath of when their couplings go home, right? Because it's like Iris was so upset about TJ going home, bawling her eyes out. But then the next day she's feeling Pepe. And I feel like the stuff gets cut out about like how people may be feeling. The same thing with like Nick and Olandria when Sierra gets like all of it's cut out. So,
because production doesn't want them lingering on their old couples. They want to
and we're just seeing everyone move on so fast. I didn't like how Pepe said to Iris, "Good job," though, when they were saved. And he said, "Good job." I was like, what is that? poor wording choice there.
Yeah, I think it was just a poor choice of words. Yeah.
That was a poor choice of words. But I think their connection is clearly growing, whether that be just physical or whatever it is. They seem to have good conversation as well.
Let me tell you, my physical connection with Pepe is growing after watching him play basketball. Woo! I had like cartoon hard eyes coming out of my face watching him play basketball. Oh man, did he look
that
good?
Seems to be the common theme. Jackie, who works here, like came up to me randomly yesterday. Was like, "Is Pepe coming in for an interview?" I'm like, no. And she's like, can you just let me know if he is?
Yeah, just let me know if he does.
That's funny.
And it's like, I think we all knew like Chris was like the basketball player and was like going to be good and whatever. But then you see Pepe do a couple like between the legs jump shots and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then he walked out with a backwards hat and a chain on at night.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's happening?
Yeah. I was like, oh, Pepe. No wonder. I'm like, I don't blame Iris at all. They might be talking nothing. Like they may have zero emotional connection, but they are probably so attracted to each other.
Oh, yeah. It's very obvious they are very, very attracted to each other. At this point, they're probably like, fuck it. Why not just have a little thing? Both of our connections got taken away from us. Let's just suck it out at the end of this season.
Hannah and Charlie were have reunited in LA. It seems like a lot of the
I know. It seems like everyone's hanging out.
Yeah, the eliminated Islanders are like all together in LA.
Right. And then we have Nick and Alandria, who their connection now seems to be growing.
It does.
I don't know. It seems to be growing in terms of like, I think Nick is just very attracted to Alandria. Like very, because he's talking about he's laying in bed, he's getting all these butterflies. Yeah. He's like, if she moves back one more inch, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, And then, I mean,
she's got the best ass in the world. So.
Holy shit, the best ass and the best boobs. Like, wow. But then Alandra's talking and she's like, is this a friends to lovers trope? Like, what's happening here?
She was saying that she was like feeling it more because I think, was it Shelly or somebody was like, do you actually like, is there actually anything there? And she was like, yeah, there is. So I don't know. I maybe it's still a little hard for me to fully buy into, but we'll see.
I'll say this, whether Nick and Alandria have a super strong connection or not, that man did not like Ciara that much because he is so chipper around this villa. Like he is like running around chipper, baby, basketball, eat that kitty, ha ha ha, laughing, running around. Like he is so happy
also,
that I'm like,
yeah, I mean, he really doesn't live in the past, clearly.
People were
He's like, you just got to move on, you know?
When Ciara
yeah, like he seems very happy.
Yeah, like he's like, you just got to move on.
When Ciara said like she stood behind Taylor because she didn't want to like upset Nick. Nick didn't seem to care that much about Taylor going home. People were like, he just like said bye and like went over to Alandria like, let's sit down. Like,
I think realistically though, we're at like the end where those guys aren't going to be, you know,
do they know how much time
devastated.
They have left?
Yeah.
Like they know like there's like a
I mean,
left.
I don't think they know the exact amount of days, but I think when you get down to these moments and these things, in these events, like, you know, I mean, some of them I'm sure are familiar enough with the show to know that like, oh, we just did the baby challenge. Like there's just certain things that always happen towards the end of the season. And also, I mean, there's only so many people left. I think you got to put 2 and 2 together that you don't have that much time left.
Yeah.
If they, I don't know if they say, hey guys, T-minus 4 days, 3 days, however many it is, but probably getting pretty close.
Can we for a second talk about how disorienting, and I know we've talked about it before, but like really digest the fact of how disorienting it must be to never know what day or time it is.
Yeah.
And then thrown back into real life. Like how clouded your brain must feel, how confused your body is. Like, oh my God, it feels like it would take months to recover from something like that.
Yeah.
Because I was reading something yesterday about how like knowing what time it is and what day it is really regulates your body.
Totally.
And when that's stripped away from you, like it's so, I just.
Your internal clock is just off completely.
Like they're just floating within time. Like it's just all so disorienting. So my goodness gracious, just thinking about that, them leaving the place and, you know, with how much this season has taken off, even last season, it feels like way more than last season with this one, that they're coming back into a world of where like they don't even know. Like, because they probably are thinking to themselves, do you think we got as much attention as last season did? And they don't even know that it's probably a million trillion times that, like, even still. So, wow. It will be interesting to see who goes home next. I don't know. Like, in my opinion, it should be Huda and Chris. Like, I feel like Huda is a cat who's had 9 lives at this point. And it's like, you know, could it be very possible that a couple could have a fight and resolve that and move on? Absolutely. But towards this point in the season, at the very, very end, we got to be looking at the connections that are the strongest, that aren't having these fights to make them go to the finale. We can't be having, you know, Chris, who looked like he wanted more than anything to be sent home in that moment, to just send it to the finale. And now I'm thinking, they're bringing their families. What if they bring Huda's daughter? Are they going to do that? They can't do that, right? They can't do that, right?
No.
That would be wild.
No.
You can't just bring her daughter in, no? Yeah, they can't do that.
I mean, they could.
They could, but that would be wild to just bring your daughter to meet. Like,
I don't think
that feels inappropriate.
No,
to like, first of all, on this show, what's been happening, and then to have her meet somebody that's just like a talking stage feels inappropriate. Yeah. But I just don't think they can make it to the finale. Like, I'm like, I would think so. And
I think the way who knows? There's the way the episode went, though, with that, like the way that, like those zoomed in visuals of Chris's face and whatever, like who's going to finish watching that episode and be like, oh, I'm voting for
the Huda
all
fans.
The people who are so, like,
they just want her to win.
Being a fan, I understand of being a fan of somebody, but I don't understand of being a fan of somebody so blindly, like the way that people become with reality TV stars, especially on Love Island, like, and now we're seeing it happen with Huda or anybody else on the show, where no matter what they do, it's always, always, always defending. Where, like, you could be a fan of somebody 100%, but still call out the things that they've done wrong. Like, you know, like, you could be a fan of Huda and still be like, ooh, that wasn't great, you know? But that just is not the case online. Like, you can't. You got to be, like, all in or nothing. Like, I had somebody respond to my story last night being like, why do you hate Huda so much? When did I ever say I hate Huda or even insinuate? I just said Huda and Chris can't make it to the finale because I don't believe that they're I think the other connections are stronger than Huda and Chris right now. That's why I think that. Not because I hate Huda. I don't hate Huda. Hating anybody on the show would be like, all right, we got to, you know, we got to chill out.
Yeah, totally.
So I guess we'll see what happens because I think it's a toss-up of which couple will be going home.
It definitely is.
Everybody's got the vote is going.
The votes are all over the place.
If it's going the way it is, though, Ace and Shelley are going to be next. They're going to be like, "Oh, strongest couple, they gotta go."
Yeah.
Ace's face when he realized like it was going to be Nick or Taylor going home was so funny.
Honestly, it was so funny. But I actually was like, "Aw."
Also, the framing of when Taylor and like did the whole thing for Clark and Alandria was just directly center of the screen. That was insane. When he asked to close off, and it was just like Taylor, Clark, and then just directly in the middle of the frame was Alandria just looking.
Oh yeah. If I was Alandria, I'd be like, I'm gonna step away and let them have this moment.
You probably don't even realize where you're like they're like the cameras are all over the place, you know.
Yeah. Right now, if we take away the other actions, and we're just talking Love Island, Ace and Shelley probably deserve to win. If we're just talking love connection without all the nonsense and drama. But because that man ran around that villa the way he did.
Yeah.
People have other opinions.
Yeah. And that's at the end of the day, that's just how this show goes too. It's just like sometimes that the logical winner it just doesn't, they don't win.
It's funny because watching them, and I know it's not true, like this rumor that they had plotted to like win the show together,
right,
and like all that. But it's funny when you do just like play around with it in your head, like just to have some fun, and like you're watching them get saved, and they make it through, and they're looking at each other like, "Yep, we did it." Like that's in my head. I'm like they're looking at each other like, "Yep, we accomplished that," even though I know it's not true. It's just funny to play around with that idea, like if they did, like, wow, what a mastermind plan, because you know it's working.
Totally.
But obviously that was debunked, and that doesn't seem to be the case. I'm excited to see what happens Thursday night, though. and I don't have a clue who's winning this season. Like, I just don't. I think it's all up in the air.
Yeah, it definitely is. I agree. I know it's a toss-up. It's really, because if you look, even if you try and go off the internet, like it does feel very split when like the fandoms. There isn't like one universally loved couple. I think everybody has their own individual like couple that they're obsessed with, you know?
Yeah, and they're all fighting with each other. All the couple fandoms are fighting with each other, and it's like, guys, no need to fight.
Yeah,
no need to fight about it, but they're gonna do it.
I feel like Nick and Alandria could actually win.
They
like
could.
I think they like together, because it's the Huda stands are just the Huda stands. Nick and Alandria are like combined. People are like they might have the biggest
totally
fandom.
They totally could.
If Nick and Alandria win, they are gonna be so fucking confused. Like, I bet like they're gonna be like, how did we? And then when they get off their phones and see that this has been going on since the beginning, that's gonna be disorienting. You know, they're gonna be like,
that'll feed into them thinking that they are meant to be.
Right. They're gonna be like, wait, maybe we really are meant to be.
We really should keep dating.
I think maybe this is my opinion on Nick and Alandria and why I'm hesitant about, you know, pursuing them as a couple, is that I think Nick is like a little boy. And I think Alandria like deserves better than Nick. I think that's where that comes from, because I feel like Nick is like, I don't know if he's mature enough. He seems like a fun-loving, goofy guy who like just wants to have fun and laugh or whatever.
He has his moments where I'm like, oh, that was like actually a very emotionally intelligent thing he just said, but it comes and goes.
Yeah, I feel like it comes and goes, where I feel like with Alandria, like she wants a man who's like
for sure.
gonna take care of her and be a gentleman at all times, and like
she said she was looking for her Southern gentleman. She said it from the beginning.
Exactly. And she was like, and I love what she said. She was like, listen, bills, I'll always be able to pay that myself. Like, job, I got that covered. Like, I want a man that does the other things.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think that's where I'm like, is Nick that guy?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
a good question.
Maybe Alandria can change him to be that guy. And Nick's mom said that, where like she thinks the boys like turn into men with Alandria. Like, you know, she sees a side of Nick come out that, you know, is more of like a man. So I don't know. I guess
she is very obviously mature, and I think that rubs off on people too, you know, so.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens Thursday night. Very, very excited. Very excited to talk to Taylor and Clark and TJ to get a little behind the scenes. It seems like TJ is yapping away on his lives and stuff. So we'll see what he has to say.
Did you see that TikTok he made? That was actually pretty funny. Where he's like the Iris Goo Goo dolls.
Yeah, and
then
the
there
Pepe
was
one.
the Pepe one. He drove past the Pepe's and sounded said Pepe.
Yeah, that was very. Very funny. Very excited to talk to them. Transparently, we are not able to discuss Sierra leaving the villa, but we will talk about everything else that has happened, and we can get right into the Gracyn interview.
Okay, let's talk about Rhoback. You've heard us talk about it before, but they keep coming out with new products, and the quality is so incredible. They have their new demi dress. It's sporty, flirty, made from this buttery performance fabric that just hugs you in all the right places. Plus, it has connected shorts underneath, but they're able to be pulled down, so it's bathroom trip approved. No awkward situations, which is so nice. I know when people put on those super cute, like athletic dresses, then you have to go into like a bathroom or a public bathroom. You have to get completely naked. It's just like the worst thing ever. Well, this solves that problem. There's also the Steffi Active Skort, high rise, so comfortable. You will be running through the parking lot doing your errands, looking amazing, little exercise, walking the dog, whatever it is. Maybe you want to try a new sport. Hit that pickleball court. You'll look like you'll have a 7 a.m. doubles match, and honestly, that is the vibe. This isn't just a cute collection, it's a lifestyle. It's giving hot girl on the go. From early morning matcha runs to chaotic midday errands, Rhoback has you covered. And don't even get us started on the colors. We are obsessed. So many great colors. If you haven't checked them out yet, it is time to go check them out and make sure Rhoback is in your rotation. Use the code CHICKS on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off your first order through the end of this week. That's spelled RHOBACK.com, Rhoback.com. All right, everyone, we are here with a very special guest. We have Gracyn from Love Island USA on the show. Gracyn, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How are
Gracyn,
you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I'm sad to not be in Fiji anymore, but I'm happy to be back into the real world with my family and friends and stuff. So it's definitely been a crazy past couple of days for sure.
Gracyn, we're seeing a lot of the Islanders who have left the villa, like talking all over social media. They're doing TikTok lives, they're on Instagram, they're doing AMAs. I feel like we haven't seen you talking about things as much. What has it been like getting your phone back and kind of adjusting back to that normal life, besides being with your friends and family, having your phone?
Honestly, it's been insane. So actually, when I was in Fiji, my phone was completely broken. So I didn't even get a phone back until I got back into the States. So I was like chomping at the bit to get back online. But also before Love Island, I wasn't super active on social media to begin with. I really was just like a normal girl. So it's definitely been like an adjustment because it's been so amazing getting so many messages from people and just hearing that people want to know more about me because, maybe I wasn't on the show as much as I'm learning now that I thought. So people are just curious, like to hear me talk and like to get to know my personality. So I want to be able to do that. So I've been trying to make the adjustment of like getting online and showing myself more online. So I'm getting there. But it's been really helpful to be around like the other Islanders because they're all so good at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, where people are messaging you, like, we want to get to know you more. Even I had that feeling while watching the show. I was like, wait, who's Gracyn? Because I feel like there's so much going on and we wanted to know more of you and your connection with Pepe. And you did come back from Casa Amor, coupled up with Pepe, and we saw how that unfolded. And unfortunately, you guys kind of went your separate ways right before that vote had happened. Can we get a little inside look into your connection with Pepe, how it felt from your end, and if you really saw it going somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, it's so funny when you're in there. There was 20 of us in there at a time, and everybody is having their own individual journey. So you feel like a main character when you're in there. And so coming out of it, it was like I was surprised at how much I felt involved in the villa, but then I was like, I can't believe that maybe it wasn't shown on TV, which honestly is completely fine. But my connection with Pepe, I really do feel like it wasn't shown much. And I haven't really watched all the episodes yet, but honestly, I think me and Pepe had a really good connection. It was slow to start, and I was pretty vocal about that in Casa. I noticed that he was going through something. Obviously, he had just had his connection with Hannah dumped from the island. And I could tell right away that he was, trying to open up. And I wasn't sure about it the first day or two of Casa. And I actually was getting to know the other guys. It might not seem like it, but I had pulled Nick for a chat the night that I got there. And then the next day, TJ and Austin had both pulled me for a chat. And I was just getting to know them as well. But as, it started to near the end of Casa, I started to really connect with Pepe. And I personally felt a spark. So I didn't really want to ignore that. And I think he just needed time to kind of heal from it and bounce back. And then following the days of Casa, I just felt like we were spending as much time together as possible. We were always together. And it was a good connection. I'm happy that we were together. I know that it didn't end up working out. And towards the end, honestly, it was kind of a shocker for me, the way that it ended so abruptly. But I do think Pepe is a good guy. I think that he was just struggling with trying to, get over his past connection, try to connect with me. And then obviously we're seeing now that maybe there was something there with Iris. So I think that he was juggling a lot. And it's just kind of unfortunate the way that it all played out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said you were surprised at kind of how it all ended. Were there any signs that you were picking up from Pepe, or was it kind of just like that abrupt moment where he sort of was like ended it and it felt like it happened out of the blue for us.
Yeah. Honestly, I remember when all the girls got back after Casa, and they had kind of started mentioning to me, like in the dressing room and stuff, how close he was with Hannah. I think for some reason when I was watching the show, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to their connection, because honestly, going in, Pepe was not like my first choice, nor really I think he was like second or third. He just wasn't really on my radar. And so maybe I didn't pay attention as much as I should have. But I remember when they started mentioning that, I was like, okay, maybe this is something I need to worry about. And we had a couple conversations about it, but he kind of was like assuring me that he was processing through it and he really wanted to focus on getting to know me. So I think every time I would raise a doubt or a concern, or I would feel some sort of like red flag, it was hard because I felt like I kept maybe getting like reassurance or validation from other Islanders. No, like, he's obviously like smitten with you, sort of thing. And I had even raised it a couple times to other people. Like, do you guys think that there's something off with Pepe? Like, should I be concerned? And I just felt like I kept getting, no, like, you guys are obviously really good. And obviously it wasn't shown much on camera, but we were like affectionate, and we did spend a lot of time together. I think I was there for 7-8 days. But yeah, I did have concerns and I did voice that, but it still felt like real enough that I kind of was willing to see where it would go. And yeah, so that's kind of where I was with it.
With saying that Pepe was not initially on your radar, like going in and to Casa and seeing it, what was it about Pepe that made him jump up that list for you?
So when I went in, I was like all about Nick. Like I was like, I think Nick is so cute. I think he's funny. I think that we would really like mesh well. So going into that challenge, I knew I was going to pick Nick to couple up with. But after the initial kissing challenge, and I went first, which was like terrifying. But after the initial kissing challenge, he kept rating everybody 10s. Like, he just seemed like such a gentleman. And honestly, Pepe was not like somebody that I thought was my type. But then when I saw him, I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll take that one.
And him rating everybody 10s as opposed to TJ, who gave everybody awful scores. And you guys, you're getting up there. It's a scary challenge to just start kissing these guys you don't even know. They can't even see you. What was that feeling like, honestly, in that moment? Because even Ariana, as the host, was like, what's up with this guy and his rating for the kisses?
I know. I think that TJ had no idea that it was new girls. So like, he wasn't afraid to be like really critical with the ratings, because he didn't realize that how nervous like we were, and that like it was our first time like in the villa. I think if he would have known, he would have been a little kinder about it. But yeah, and honestly, I was interested in TJ when I initially went in, but after hearing him like talk like that, I was like, oh my God, like, no, I don't. And then hearing like the complete opposite, where Pepe was giving everybody 10s and he was like, everybody's doing like, I don't know. I was like, he just seems so sweet, like a gentleman. Like, I wanted to go that direction. But TJ is honestly a really sweet guy. I did get to know him a little bit like in Casa. So yeah, that was like really, I did have a conversation with TJ that I think did get aired, where I was like, you dogged my kiss. But he really didn't mean it, I don't think.
Yeah, I think we saw recently he was like, I was just waiting, putting everybody low scores so that when Iris came around, I can give her a high score, until I realized Iris was not there. It was all new girls. It was Casa. But, coming into Casa has to be a scary feeling, especially this season. It was done differently than ever done before. How did you feel about that? Did you know the previous way that they did it? And were you happy with this change up, because it gave everybody a chance to actually make it back into the villa?
Yeah, I was actually terrified to go in for Casa. When I was flown to Fiji, I fully thought that I was like a bombshell. And I remember, them starting to mention Casa, and I got so nervous. Like, I was like, I felt like I had so many interviews where they knew, who I was, and I just didn't know that I fit in Casa because I'd seen previous seasons and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be aggressive enough to like make it in Casa. You know what I mean? So I was so nervous. And then they, told me it's going to be different from any other year. And when we got there and they said everybody is going to possibly have the opportunity to come back, I was just like, I have to lean into this. And all of it was out of my comfort zone. Like I can't even describe how nervous I was. But and on it, I genuinely was like, maybe I can't do this. Like maybe I can't go in for Casa. And I had to really think like long and hard about doing it. But I was there. I was like, I want to have this experience. And I'm glad I did. But it's definitely really daunting. And I think it did feel really different from previous seasons, which was really nice.
Yeah. Was it like disappointing to you emotionally? Like what was going through your mind when you found out you were going to be sent in through Casa? Like I can't, because I know you don't really fully know how you're going to be on the show. So when you heard it is going to be Casa, what did you think?
If I'm being real, like my first reaction was like a little bit of like disappointment because I just felt like I just wanted to have the fullest experience possible because honestly, it sounds so corny, but I really wanted to make a connection there. I had seen last season, I saw so many couples come out of it and they're still together. Like that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I thought that wouldn't be possible coming in for Casa. I don't think that we've seen like much success from past seasons of like girls coming in from Casa or guys and making it, out of the villa. I don't think we see that very often. And I think it's because Casa is so late in the game. So I was initially disappointed because I was like, I'm watching like the time tick by, my experience in the villa get shorter and shorter. Yeah. And I'm like, I wanted to just have as much time as possible to make a real connection because you have to have that time. So yeah, there was like a wave of disappointment, but also there are so many people that are dying to be in the villa. And I had to just kind of take a step back and like realize I have to be like, I have to be grateful for this. Yeah. Like I'm so lucky to be here because like I said, I really was just like a normal girl. And I don't know what it was that I did or said that got me into the villa, genuinely. So I just had to kind of put it into perspective that there's so many people that would take my place. And I'm meant to be here for a reason. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to lean into this experience and I'm going to just be myself. And if that gets me where I want to be, then that's all I can ask for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's not corny at all to say that you wanted to find a real connection. I think as viewers, that's what we're hoping for to see from you guys. And this season, people have been a little bit frustrated because we were like, we want real connections. So to hear from you that you were genuinely looking for that is actually refreshing to hear and happy to hear that. It was so different, Casa, and especially the setup where we saw Nick and Alandria got sent home, but then they were saved and you guys found out that they came back as a couple. What was that feeling like seeing them walk back in? And also you initially being interested in Nick, were you thinking about maybe pursuing that any further when you saw him come back in?
When Nick left, so I had obviously some conversations with Nick. The first night I had pulled him for a chat, and he told me that if I wouldn't have pulled him, he would have pulled me. So I think there was like some mutual interest there. But in our conversation, it was good, but it was super friendly. And it just didn't feel the same in like conversations that I was having with Pepe. It felt a lot more like romantic between me and Pepe. So I just kind of like was like, maybe this isn't going to go anywhere. And then when he was leaving, he was kind of giving his goodbye speech to all of us. And then he mentioned Sierra and he was like, just tell Sierra. And he started crying, like he started tearing up. And that's when I was like, this guy, I don't know that, I don't know that he's open. Like, I was like, I don't think this is something that I want to pursue because I could see that he had like an emotional connection with Sierra. So yeah. I was happy to see him come back because I wanted him to like keep getting to know Sierra and keep pursuing that. But I knew that one was not going to be for me.
Seeing that emotion from him then and knowing kind of how things have played out now, how do you feel about what's going on currently with Nick and Alandria? Do you think that those two could actually maybe have something?
I'm not sure. I think that, seeing their relationship, I think that they've tried. And if there's a spark between them, that's amazing. I think it's kind of hard for me to see that coming to fruition because I think that they've been there from the very beginning. So I think they've had a lot of time to explore that. But maybe with Sierra being out of the picture, that kind of gives them like the space to be able to really explore it. So if they feel romantic with each other, I think that that's amazing. I don't know that I necessarily saw, although I will say during like kissing challenges and stuff, like they would go in. So
That is true.
they would go in. So honestly, I hope that they are genuine and like actually try to dive in and really give it a shot instead of just maintaining like a friendship. I really hope that they actually try.
Yeah.
So that's all I can say about that. But
Yeah.
they look cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you said you were there for 7 to 8 days or however long it was. What was the vibe with the OG Villa girls? Because we've seen in the past seasons, past Islanders talk about how it can be a little weird when the Casa girls come in and you guys all mesh together and you know that they're trying to be with your man and it's a whole thing. But at the end of the day, you're all there for the same reason, to find connections. How did you feel like you meshed with the girls?
I got to know a lot of the girls. I felt like I got really close with Iris, which was really nice. And I got to know Amaya really well. She was like so welcoming. I have nothing but amazing things to say about Amaya and Iris. Like they immediately were trying to make me feel welcome in the villa, which is so great. As for like the OG girls, I think that they're really nice, but let's be honest, they had been there from the very beginning. They had like a really close, tight bond and they confide in each other, they share in each other. That's going to be hard no matter what. Like when you come into it's like being the new girl in the classroom, those people have known each other since they were kids. So I did get to know them and I feel like we'll be friends outside of the villa for sure. But I think with the amount of time that we're there, it's really hard to like connect really closely. And they were going through a lot of drama.
Right.
So they were really leaning on each other at the time. But I'm really happy that I had Clark and Jaden. Like I really feel like they'll be my friends for the rest of my life. And we got really, really close. So it was nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there's just a natural gravitation. You see it when you watch in the mornings of the girls going to have their chats and their catch ups, and we watched more of you with Clark and Jaden, and kind of the girls like naturally have their own groups. Did it feel like groups? Does that make sense? Like, does it feel like you were like, okay, we have our group, they have their group, we all get along, but like it's groups?
A little clicky.
I think that's just to be expected.
Yeah.
Like I think when you have 10 girls, we're not all 10 gonna sit in a circle and like start sharing our deepest, darkest secrets. Like that's just how it goes. So yeah, of course there was a little bit of like grouping going on. But I think that if if there were less girls, then maybe everybody would start to lean on each other. But I think through Casa, it was just such a dramatic time. Like tensions were really high. Nobody knew who was going home and who was staying and who was building a connection and who wasn't. So I think everybody just started to really lean on like the people they felt closest to. And that's probably why in the show, it just seems like there's kind of a divide going on, just because I feel like that's only natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At one point, there were so many people in the villa. It seemed like more than we had ever seen before. It felt like the show was starting over. So that would make sense. I do have to ask you, though, was it cold at night? People are wondering about the red velvet turtleneck dress. They want to know, were you cold?
That was my most controversial look. I've been seeing everywhere. People have a lot to say about that look. It was freezing, guys. Like, it was so cold. Everybody was actually saying how jealous they were of me. We had to like bundle in towels and stuff. It was freezing at night. Some nights weren't as bad as others, but that night in particular was so cold. But that's not even why I wore it. I mean, I brought that thing to Fiji not thinking it was going to be hotter than. So like
you were
let's be
like,
real.
I'm Christmas ready.
That's right. Yeah.
It's winter in Fiji.
It is winter in Fiji. And it was a bodysuit, actually. Like it went like it was like a whole feather situation. Yeah, everybody's saying it looks like Christmas, but you know what? I thought it was so cool. So if you want it to be memorable, it's got to be crazy. And I'm a big girl for statement pieces. So
yeah. And when you walk out of that villa and the worst thing you could have done in people's eyes is wore that outfit, you know,
I know
it's a win.
I know. Honestly, I feel so lucky and blessed to come out. Like I felt like, you know, of course everybody has something to say. There's still things out there. Like there's going to be a hater no matter what. But I just feel, and partially it's probably because I just didn't get as much airtime as others, but to feel like unscathed is just such a sigh of relief. Because we have no idea the way that we're going to be portrayed, and I had no idea. We don't know how much we're being shown.
Right.
To our knowledge, we think everything is being shown. You know what I mean? So I just had no idea how people were going to react. And obviously towards the end, there was like a little bit of controversy going on, like with, you know, the whole Pepe and I situation. And I was like, I don't know how people are going to take, you know, me being vocal at the fire pit and our conversation, because they only show just little snippets, of course. So I came out, and of course there are people that are like, you know, you had no right to be that way. And then there are people who are like, I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. So yeah. I feel honestly really lucky.
No, you absolutely should. And I think especially when it is kind of the elimination, the way that it went with just a mass amount of people kind of leaving. And it's so hard because when they put up those kinds of numbers and they say only one person can stay, that's so tough. What were you thinking during that elimination? You know, everyone's standing up there. They're making people stand behind you. What was going through your head during that elimination?
I think you can see it in my face that I was definitely frustrated. Because, you know, I felt like I was taking a lot of punches that day from what was happening with Pepe. So obviously we had the postcard challenge the night before. And that just completely altered the way that I was feeling about Pepe. I was like, I don't feel secure about this. I don't feel good about this anymore. And it started to already get me like, you know, panicking a little bit, because I was like, I didn't realize this is the way he felt. And then the next day, obviously Pepe and I having the conversation that, you know, this doesn't need to go any farther. And then that night getting told that only one person's going to be saved, I was like, just vote.
Yeah.
Just vote. Because I was like, this must be my time. The way it all just panned out, it did feel like I was taking a lot of punches, but I was still trying to be grateful. And then honestly, to see Pepe not stand behind me too, I was just like, this must be my time.
Was any part of you thinking Pepe would stand behind you, or did you kind of know he wasn't gonna?
No, I fully thought he would, honestly. I think that there was always a chance of me, because we had ended it. You know, I was like, he might not, but he knew I was there for the right reasons. That's kind of something that he had reiterated to me over and over again through the past week. He was like, I love that you're here, like, for the right reasons, and that you're genuinely here to make a connection. And that's why, like, I'm really exploring you. So since he knew that, I thought just in support of me, he would stand behind me. And also, I think it was no surprise that Taylor was going to be the one that was saved. So I felt like he knew maybe his vote wasn't going to matter. So I was like, just support me.
Yeah. For like a principle.
Yeah, but he didn't. So that was upsetting, but it is what it is. I mean, it's not completely surprising.
Yeah. In a vote like that, does it kind of go unsaid with the newer Islanders when there's a vote? It's like, all right, well, the OG is going to be the one that's protected. Like, does everyone think that?
There's just no way. Yeah. There's just no way. I think that especially with TJ and Taylor standing up there, who were really like feeling very secure in their connections, me and Jaden, I think we were just like, they there's no way we're going to have enough people that want to stand behind us. And in the grand scheme of things, you would think that with it being Love Island, I almost was like, I wish this was looked at from an angle of like, who do you want to get to know? Like, who do you want to stay to explore, sort of thing? Because I feel like that's something that we should all be thinking about, because that's what we're there to do. But I understand like wanting to save your friend and keep somebody there to continue their connection. But yeah, Jade and I looked at each other in that moment. We were like, yeah, it's over for us.
Yeah, I think that's where the disadvantage of coming in for Casa can be, because things do factor like friendship. Although it is Love Island, everyone jokes about Friendship Island. This isn't Friendship Island, but those things come into play when it comes to the Islanders saving other people. Right now, we are headed towards the end of the season. We're almost at 4 couples. One more couple is going to get sent home. With the current connections and couples going on, who do you think is the strongest couple, and who do you think is the least?
I would say the least would probably be Nick and Alandria, in my opinion, just because I think that I don't know romantically if that's something that they would continue. I always try to think what's going to happen after the villa. So I think when I look at the couples, that's kind of the one that I don't think is going to continue after the villa. So that's why I would say that. But for the most, I know that Shelly and Ace are getting a lot of heat, is what I've been told. But honestly, they've been together from the very beginning. They've done everything they can to explore each other. They look secure. And when I was in the villa seeing them in person, honestly, they really do seem very fond of each other. Like, they're always with each other. They're always affectionate. So I think that they would be the strongest couple and the most likely to continue after the villa. So other than that, Amaya and Brian are really fresh, and I think it would be really cool to see like such a new connection be able to win. And I think they look really cute together, and Amaya seems really happy, and honestly Brian does too. So I'd be really happy to see them win.
Did the Iris and Pepe pairing surprise you?
No.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't surprise me. I was really close with Iris, and I always felt like they acted like they were like brother and sister, like best friends. You know what I mean? They're always there for each other. Whenever they're to confide in somebody, they're to confide in each other. They're bombshells together, so they feel really close. And I always kind of maybe thought like it could be more than that. So that did not surprise me. And I knew that with TJ leaving, she was really going to need to have somebody that was there for her. And I remember walking out with my suitcase and seeing like Iris just, crying into Pepe's arms. And I was like, yeah, I think that that's going to happen.
Were you surprised that Iris didn't try to leave with TJ at that point?
Honestly, no. And I feel like I would have been upset with her if she did, because things move so fast in there. But, Iris and TJ, they weren't together during Casa. So, and they were only together for a day before Casa. So really they had only had a couple days together. Right. And that's not to discount their connection. Like, I think they had a really strong connection, but I think Iris would have been doing herself a disservice to leave and not explore anything else, because she had not had the opportunity to really have a good connection other than TJ. So I would have been upset if she left. So I don't blame her for not going.
Yeah, I think that's a great outlook. I'm assuming from that answer, you won't be holding any hard feelings towards Iris coupling up with Pepe and, wanting to be friends outside the villa.
No, of course not. I'm actually really excited to see her outside the villa. And if they continue their relationship, I'll be really happy for them. They both live in LA. They seem like a good match. I absolutely have no bad blood. I really love Iris. So I hope that wouldn't be weird at all. I think everybody is dating each other in there. So
yeah, I feel like it's good to get inside info from somebody who was actually there, because we see things move so fast. You say it moves fast in there. We see things move so fast on the screen, where although there are a ton of people who are rooting for Iris and Pepe, there are also people who are like, wait, what? This just happened so fast. But to hear you say you're not surprised by it, and that they were having a lot of moments, even friendship can always turn into something else. So that's always nice to hear.
Yeah. And Yeah, honestly, if anybody was going to leave, I thought maybe Pepe would, because he just had said that there was, when we had our conversation, he basically told me there was no one there for him. He was like, I just don't see myself forming a connection with anybody here. And you were kind of the only person that I saw that being possible with, and I don't feel a spark, you know. I'm like, okay. But so I thought maybe in that moment he would be like, okay, I have nothing else to do here.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to walk away from that experience, being in there, especially with only like a week left. I don't blame him for not.
Yeah. Did everybody kind of have a feeling of how much time was left? Like
we could sense it was nearing the end, for sure. I think that the challenge where, you know, the 5 of us were dumped, we were like, I think there's only like a week left. Like we could sense it, you know. But we never knew the time, we never knew the day, so we weren't completely sure, but it felt like it was nearing the end, especially with the way like the connections were going to. We were like, yeah, I can't see more bombshells being brought in. Like it seems like we're getting to the finish line.
Yeah, so I think at that point everyone's like, we're here to stay, you know, make it to the end, try to make it to the finale, but we have to wrap up. Gracyn, thank you so much for chatting with us. I know you'll look back and be like, short and sweet. It was a great time for you on the show. And I think hopefully now everyone will be able to get to know you more on social. You'll start sharing more and everyone will get to
I'm gonna
have
try.
those. Yeah. I mean, the time is now, Gracyn, you know, like,
yes.
That's what everybody keeps telling me. I was actually with like a bunch of the Islanders last night. We were all hanging out, and I know they were like, Gracyn, you got to get on this. The time is now, and people want it. People want it now. Yeah, nobody got to know you in there. You know, nobody got to see you, which still like baffles me, because I just felt like I had so much like love and close friendships with Clark and Iris and Amaya and Jaden, and like I couldn't believe that those things weren't shown, because I think we really connect with friendships. You know, seeing that on and even with Pepe and I. So you know, if people want to get to know me more, then I want to be able to share, but I'm trying my best, guys.
Yes. You got it.
Everybody follow Gracyn. She's posting more.
Thank you so much, Gracyn.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. They don't make it easy to buy concert tickets these days. You got to sign up for the pre-sale, get in the queue, and by the time you get through, the best seats are gone. Going to a concert should be about the show itself, not waiting in a virtual line. Lucky for us, we have Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the app actually go down the closer it gets to showtime. Plus, the Game Time Picks feature makes it even easier to find the great deals on the seats you want. All you have to do is pull up your chosen event and turn on the GT Pick setting at the top of the screen, or browse the best local Game Time Picks deals near you on your Game Time app homepage. I've been looking at a ton of tickets. There are so many great concerts coming up. Jonas Brothers are in town, Gracie Abrams, Lady Gaga. There's so many great shows, which I am so excited for. Gia and I are actually going to see Olivia Dean next week, which I am so excited about. All thanks to Game Time. So what are you waiting for? It is time to buy those tickets now with Game Time Picks. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHICKS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHICKS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time. All right, let's get into the pop corner where we take your voicemails, your opinions, your questions, your hot takes, everything. Noah, what do we got to kick us off for the pop corner this week?
Hi, Rhea, Fran, and Noah. So my hot take is that I don't like how Bachelor in Paradise kind of got a facelift. I don't understand why they changed it. I don't know if they're trying to keep up with other dating shows like Love Island or whatever they're going for. But I kind of liked the grunginess of like the bunk beds, the no air conditioning, and how it was all played out. I feel like every preview I see, I'm like going deeper and deeper down the hole of like, why am I even still watching this show? It just looks very forced, and I miss what it was, and I don't like what it's turning into. What do you guys think?
It's a tough situation for them because it really feels like a lose-lose. You know, it's like if they don't change anything, everyone complains. oh, it's so dated. They can't keep up with the other dating shows, like the whole thing. They try and change, mix it up a little bit. Everyone's like, this sucks. Go back to the old version. I just think it's like they were going to get shit no matter what for changing it. Unfortunately, it's like, the hotel and everything that they stayed at, I don't think they were able to continue at that location anymore. So they had to find somewhere new. And I can't blame them for letting these people sleep in hotels with air conditioning. It's just they probably want people to come to Paradise and sign up and do the show. They got to make it seem a little more enticing these days compared to some of these other shows. I want to give it a chance. I'm not ready to just like jump off and say, I don't like it. I watched the first episode. I think it totally, yes, it does have a different feel, but then at the same time, there are very much those same similar Bachelor in Paradise type tropes and themes throughout the episode. But they gotta change something.
Right, like you said, I think it is a lose-lose because you mentioned how, the caller mentioned how they don't want it to change, but there are so many people who've been screaming that they want it to change.
Yeah.
So they kind of had to do something, and maybe they went a little hard. I'm perfectly fine with the being in a resort hotel room situation. Like, I don't see an issue with that. I mean, so many shows are like that. And like you said, if they don't want them all going off to other Netflix shows, like we see Rachel and Clayton going on The Perfect Match, and the possibility of these contestants going on other shows is possible. They're gonna have to ramp it up. Be like, oh my God, all paid for resort vacation, fall in love, da da da. It's paradise. Paradise isn't really sitting in a room with no air conditioner, sweating your ass off with bugs and all that. Like, that's not paradise, really. So, I mean, it was that show, but considering the words paradise, it's not that. So I got no problem with that. I think people got to give it a chance, and maybe they fix a little bit here and there as they go on. But they needed to change something in some capacity, or else people would then be like, this is the same thing over and over again. It's never changing. We're bored of this. And look, it's causing conversation. People are talking about it because they are saying it's different. So maybe that is what they needed to do.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they had to there's like a learning curve with it. So I think that they had to go like so far on the other side to just see what the reaction would be and see how it goes. And the first episode was all the young contestants. They haven't brought the Goldens in yet. So when that happens, I'm sure that'll be a whole nother element as well. So but the episodes are just that first episode was really long. I feel like I just don't have the attention span for episodes that long anymore,
The 3-hour intros, they're just a bit boring because we haven't gotten to any drama or anything yet.
Yeah. But no, I know it's like, it's hard to let go of the old form and whatnot, but they had to make some changes. They just had to. And I'm pretty sure they have like new producers, new showrunners, like a lot of new people behind the scenes. So that's going to obviously factor into what the show looks like too.
What is up, ladies? And Noah, of course, as always. Hey, it's Karen from Michigan. I bet you didn't have any idea that you had menopausal 53-year-old women in your fucking demographic. But here we are, and I never miss a goddamn show. So let's go.
Love it.
I want to talk a little Love Island. I want to talk a little Taylor. And my apologies right off the whip, because I was on vacation last week, and if you guys talked about this since then, my apologies. I'm going back this week to listen to the shows from last week. So let's talk a little Taylor. Ladies, Noah, what in the fuck is wrong with Taylor's kissing? You guys, he doesn't know how to kiss. I know that you've mentioned it before, like when he kissed Olandria one time and it was awkward and weird. Dude, he doesn't know how to kiss. He's fucking clueless. He has he just those big smooch, like with his lips up. What is happening? I feel bad for every woman that's interested in him in the villa. Ladies, I don't know. You're either going to have to teach him or move on. So what do you think? I just wanted your opinion. I just can't figure it out. Who doesn't know how to kiss at, he's got to be, 28 years old? It's a fucking puzzler. So anyway, love the show, ladies. Like I said, I never miss an episode, and I will see you and talk to you soon.
Oh my gosh.
Bye-bye.
Amazing.
Wow, thanks so much.
Amazing. He's a pecker.
There has been conversation about the way Taylor kisses,
Yes.
and it looks like when it was at the Landry, it looked like he was gearing himself up every time. Like it was like a, like it was just like a big like gear up. Like he had to rev his engine to start kissing Alandria. I think with Clark, it's coming off a little bit more natural. I actually haven't noticed it as much.
Yeah, it's still peck-ish,
but it's still pecking. We haven't. I don't know if we've seen a full make out from him. Well, actually, we have. We've seen him make out. We've seen everybody make out with everybody.
Yeah.
But I think we see a lot of peckings happening. But that has been a conversation online because I remember the one doc scene where it was like he was sitting there and it was like, oh my God, he is just really building himself up to give a little peck. So
sometimes
maybe it's like a little self-conscious about kissing on screen. Like they are kissing on camera 24/7, and maybe he's thinking in his head. No, but I feel like I haven't noticed it much in the challenges. I've noticed it more.
Yeah, that's why I feel like maybe in his like day-to-day life and relationships, he's just not as much of a sloppy makeout guy. Sometimes the way these people kiss, I'm like, that's too much. Like, there's a middle ground there. He's on one end and then there's somewhere in the middle. But I feel like he's just he loves a good peck, I saw such a funny tweet like when everyone was so mad at him after the Alandria stuff and was like, I'm so done with you, Taylor. Like, it's time to peck your bags.
Wow, that's funny.
He's just
he's a big pecker.
He's a big pecker. That's really about it. I'm sure maybe in more private settings it's different, but yeah. I don't know. That's just the way he kisses, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is what I wanted to say. You know what it kind of reminds me of? In Hitch, when Kevin James is like leaning in to kiss Allegra Cole for the first time, and it's like moving in slow motion because he's got to go the 90 and she's got to go the 10.
Yeah.
Like, he's going the 90.
That's Taylor.
And then
he's
just
thinking
waiting
about it.
And then waiting for the girl to go the 10.
He's thinking
Maybe he
about
learned
it a
how
lot.
to kiss from Hitch. You never know.
Maybe. You never know.
Hey, Rhea, friend, and Noah. This is Jen. My question for you is if you could pick any parent that you would want to have from any sitcom, TV show, who would you want as your ideal mom and dad?
Ooh.
Love you guys. Bye.
Oh, done. Dad would be Sandy Cohen from the OC.
Good one.
Because he's so understanding.
I'm trying to think if I would want like a different mom and a different dad or like a married pair,
Oh, yeah. Because they did have their ups and downs, that couple. I would maybe put two together.
Right.
I would say Sandy, just as a father figure, I felt like he was so understanding with the kids. And even if they were in trouble, it's like they got a stirred talking to, but he also understood where the kids were coming from. And then for mom, I was gonna say Aunt Becky, but like Aunt Becky in Full House, not
right.
Lori Loughlin.
Well, yeah,
she'd get you into a good school.
She'd be a great mom. She'd get me into good school. You're right. She would get me those scholarships.
Yeah.
She would put anything forward to provide for her kid. Why is it always TV dads? Why not TV moms? We gotta talk about TV moms.
Let me tell you, a lot of times they kill the moms off.
Right. It's like
all in Disney, there's Disney movies, shows. It's like not two parents.
Sofia Vergara in Modern Family as your mom.
Oh, I'm thinking about a show, but I would love the Mom and Parent Trap.
Yeah. Ugh. Yes. If you were to go movie, yeah.
Yeah. But then, like,
Elizabeth
her and
Jones.
Sandy Cohen together, is that like
right?
That's an odd pairing.
You know who I always really liked? The parents in Boy Meets World. They seemed solid.
Yeah, they were fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of times it's like you either have it was like a single parent who's like really involved or like two parents that were just not really in the show that much.
Mm-hmm.
Because
like,
do I I may go Billy Ray and but on the show, not real life.
Not Billy Ray, real life.
And yeah. And the mom from Sweet Life. What a combo those two would be.
Oh, wow. The mom from Sweet Life, Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie, yeah.
Carrie's a great pick too.
Yeah. Oh, you know who sneaky I actually would be like, sign me up for? The Russos.
Oh, mm-hmm. That's good.
They're a good, solid couple, those two.
And you always get a free meal.
Yeah. Yep.
Your parents own a Subway shop.
Exactly. Exactly. I'd be very happy with the Russos.
Yeah, the Russos are a great pick.
They are.
I'm gonna pick the Coens.
That's a good one.
They had some real life drama.
Yeah.
And they had their ups and downs, but they were solid as a couple, and they supported each other through things. Yeah. And that's real life right there. So
I would also argue for Karen and Keith from One Tree Hill. All right. If you or even I would just maybe go Karen as a mom, and then I could pick a different.
Who's a good mom? The mom from The Middle. Remember The Middle?
I never really watched The Middle.
I watched The Middle when it first came out, but I fell off a little bit.
But I fucking love
Phil
One Tree Hill.
Dunphy's
Karen
dad
is so good. Yeah.
But I'd be like, Dad, you're too goofy.
You need a cooler dad.
It would like, I feel like it would stress me out a little bit, like my dad always being so goofy.
True. Those are all good answers, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock the Coens in.
Yeah.
Hey, Rian, Fran, and Noah, and hopefully Olive. This is Daniela from Louisiana. I have a question / kind of opinion. I just finished watching you guys' interview with Ezra and absolutely loved it. And so my question is, what do you guys think about Dancing with the Stars transitioning from the Bachelor, Bachelorette franchise and maybe dipping more into Love Island? Honestly, I don't want to see anybody from this past season of The Bachelor on Dancing with the Stars this season. I feel like the girls who are on there are kind of over it, and TBH, I don't want to see Grant. But I think it would just be amazing to have somebody like as entertaining as Amaya Papaya, to be honest, from this season of Love Island, and even dipping into last season. Like the girls and the guys from last season were just really all great personalities. So like, I just want to know what you guys think about maybe getting away from the Bachelor, Bachelorette franchise for a couple years and maybe dipping into Love Island. Okay, hope you guys have a great week. Bye.
I love the idea. Also, didn't she kind of sound like Becca Tilley?
Yeah.
Her voice a little bit. That's right.
Maybe it is.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to say the same thing, Rhea. It's like, yeah, that would be nice, but just like the name of the game, the networks, like they're going to dip. ABC's going to stick with ABC before they go to Peacock. I think right now, though, like nobody's name is getting enough attention to be on this season from the Bachelor, Bachelorette franchise. Like, if anything, I guess it would be Grant, and I don't think that they care enough to have Grant on. I think
you don't think they'd go back like older, like
no, they could, for sure. Freaking, they definitely could. They could like dip into like Jason Tartick, like that's like
I was just gonna say Jason Tartick. Is that because?
There's the rumors about him being the Bachelor.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I saw that.
He's hanging out with Love Island. He's hanging out with Kelly Flanagan a lot. Have you been seeing that?
Yeah, I have seen that, honestly. Yeah. A lot in the Hamptons. My goodness.
Yeah.
When it comes to Love Island, like, listen, we got such a fucking great group last year of people. I mean, some solid fucking people with really great foundations. Like, if that makes sense. Like, Serena and Cordell, Miguel and Leah, Janae and Kenny, the fact that those three are all still together and they seem like they have great relationships and level-headed, selves is really great to see. Like, I miss them. I was being the person that was like, no, we can't miss the people from last season. The show is coming back on Sunday after the finale, which will be fun. But I think any of those people would be fantastic to watch on Dancing with the Stars. I think they would be great.
Would love to have them.
Would love to have them. I don't know if they would do it. There are rumors that Sierra from Summer House will be joining, and that's NBC, Bravo. So
yeah.
I guess you really never know.
Right. I think it's just like they haven't started to do it yet. I would not be surprised if they did reach out to some of those Love Island cast members.
I wouldn't be shocked if Love Island had a different contract set up though with Peacock and NBC.
Oh yeah, that's very true.
Than somebody on Bravo would have.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting, but I would love to see any of them. And I think, from this past season, Amaya, she would be the one that I think stands out as to being like the most entertaining on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, I mean, look, it writes itself to send Ace to Dancing with the Stars, right? Like dance
Oh
instructor,
my God.
like he fucking loves
So
to dance,
true.
Like so, yeah. But I just don't know if they would do it, but they would be good picks and would obviously get people really into the show. But they just have to have a mix. The problem is the way that Dancing with the Stars works and the way that it's always been and why it's so great is it is such a mix of young current people and older people and like from all different shows. It's like, and they're covering a lot of their young star slots. I feel like are filling up pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
So
who? Honestly, Jeremiah would be great.
Yeah.
Somebody who was kicked off that people want to see more of.
Right.
That would be a good pick.
And the problem is they'll probably save most of them for Love Island games. I bet a lot of them wouldn't even be able to do Dancing with the Stars. My guess is it'd be like somewhere around the same time, or there'd be some overlap or something. So
true.
Yeah, I think that they're all going to be booked and busy in different ways. That's for sure.
For sure.
All right, that wraps it up for voicemails. Thank you guys so much for calling, and we love answering your questions. So make sure you keep calling. Tell us how you feel, what you're thinking, opinions, thoughts, questions, whatever you want. We're here for you. And we're here to listen and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That wraps up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening.
Yeah, big smooches. Big hugs and smooches for the best show on earth.
Best show on earth. Thanks, guys. We'll be back Thursday night. TBD on the time. Hopefully it's on the earlier side. But we want to make sure we get that interview out to you as soon as possible. So whenever it's ready, it'll go out. So we're excited for everybody to hear that. So talk to you guys later. Love you.
Peace. Love you guys.
Yeah, Chicks in the Office. Long-time listener. First-time caller.
Look at the charts. Who does it the best? 2 chicks getting paid in reality checks.